Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Appears that we're having some network issues this morning. So if you can hear me, just drop in the chat. Hello, TT. I can hear you loud and clear. Um, let me. Can you hear me? I can see that we have Fee Folu. Fee, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay. Okay. It appears that we're having some network issues. Apologies for this. Okay, Fee can hear me. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. I'll be your host today till Rosie sorts out his internet. So it's good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Um, how has your week been? It's been an interesting week. Can we believe it? It's the end of January. Yes, the first month in 2021 has gone just like that. Um, and I think that, we just start by saying that we thank God that we are alive. We thank God we're in health. We thank God we're not in the hospital. And we thank God that, a bit of life is trying to get back to normal. So some schools have resumed. People are back at work or working remotely. So we're trying to kick off, 2021 as normal. It's been an interesting week. We have none other than the prophet. Jude has joined in. Good morning, Jude.
Good morning, TT.
Good morning.
Good
It's good to
morning.
have you here. Good morning.
Good
And
morning.
Rotimi is trying to join. Can you imagine today that we have a
Okay.
very hot topic? The internet is
Imagine.
the internet is trying to disrupt our show. Uh,
the
Rotimi,
internet
can
is
you
not the
hear us?
internet is not showing love, man. The internet is not showing love.
No, it's not. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know if Rotimi can hear us, even if you can't see him. Okay. Nothing from Jude. How has it been? January has come and gone. So how has it been for you? How is the new normal, so to speak? How has it been?
Okay. I just read something about the uh about Pfizer CEO saying COVID has come to stay. So I say, okay, that's a good one. That's so. January has been a bit very skeptical month. Everybody's been on the edge. Okay, I don't want to be the one to falter. I don't want to be caught off guards and all that. But thank God, at least uh, uh, things are a bit subsiding now with the announcement of vaccines and other options for people to get better. Things are a bit subsiding. I believe February will be a bit more relaxed, not to the extreme anyway, but at least everybody will not be breathing on high heels again.
Yeah, honestly,
Hello, Titi, can you hear me?
yes, Rotimi, we can hear you. Good
Yeah,
morning.
can you hear me, story to me? Good
Yeah, I
morning.
think
Okay,
another
good
news.
morning.
Good morning. I think another news was, I think the news yesterday was that MTN, one of Africa's leading mobile network,
Yes.
announced a donation of about $25 million to support the African Union regards to COVID. Because one of our challenges in Africa is the funds for the COVID. So
COVID.
while America can be giving 40 million people the vaccinations,
Mm.
knowing that most of those vaccinations require two shots,
Short,
most
yes, yes.
African countries have not even started anything in that
What any short, yes.
yeah, funding is a major issue. So I think kudos to MTN for their donation.
MTN,
Thank you,
yes.
MTN. We'll still complain about you later. For today, we'll say thank you, MTN. Thank you. And I think we need more organizations do those kind of things.
Mm.
Especially at least let them start with the frontline workers that are putting their life every day at risk. So I think it's important that corporate companies, start as well in helping to support as we fight this. And I agree with Pfizer. COVID is just going to join the league of chicken pox, smallpox.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
going to
yes.
have a season that it has a tendency to break
Mm.
out, and during the heat when we have our normal, African sun, it's
So,
going to be, yeah, it's going to be subdued. So yes, thank you. So Jude, what else has been happening from your end? Any news from the field? How has it been? Tell us.
okay. Tech, as you know, is now fully integrated in every system around the world. Education has no choice. Businesses, they have no choice. I've been getting feeders and feedback from even medical doctors that doing their practicing medicine is not enough without the educational part of tech, because they are now thinking about doing trainings globally, doing trainings with as much people as possible, especially even with students coming up, and actually creating awareness even in regards with COVID-19. They are doing lectures online, and I believe even churches now that you think would have run away from tech, they are actually embracing it much more than even corporate organizations. Every service now is online. Every meetings, house meetings online, and I believe at this point in time, we'll start seeing people scrambling for necessary tech, and we'll start seeing improvements. The necessary improvement for learning in tech will start coming up, because solutions will begin to develop at this point, because people want to see more, not just having a Zoom session. They want to see more than just a Zoom session in their online virtual meetings.
But let's bring it home. I hear you, and as you say those things, I feel that yes, it applies to the corporate world where they have the infrastructure to
Yes.
support that. Bring it home. Let's bring it to education, and not the minority education. People up there, no,
Okay,
the out.
okay. Like public schools,
How
right?
it doesn't have to be only public school. Public schools, low cost schools, just
Okay,
beginning school. Let's bring it home. What are your
okay,
thoughts?
okay. My thoughts are, we should start thinking about homemade solutions, right, that suits our environment. We have a lot of them around, but they might still need to do more integration into their platform, so that it meets up with the demand for local markets, right? Because sometimes when companies, especially local companies, tend to profile solution, they don't actually take a good survey of what is already in place in terms of high expectations, right, and premium service. So they just do it and maybe feel it's going to be good for local markets, and maybe from there, once it's been deployed, they start adjusting. But why not just make the necessary adjustments even before you deploy your platforms, and make it even much more will I say better than even the international versions. But local market really needs a lot of tweaking, right? Because we're talking about local schools, people who cannot even access internet. So a lot of tweaking will really come into our local products and local platforms, so that it meets that educational demand for even preschoolers and even primary school and secondary school students, because that's very important. It's not just deploying an international product, but how does it solve local problems, and or become a local solution.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. Rotimi still has some network issues. I'm hoping that he'll be able to. Rotimi, can we? Hello.
Yeah, it's the carry on. Just give me like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorting
Okay.
out my backend.
Okay. So I just looking at other news, you know, when you look at other things that happen all over the world in terms
Yes.
of in terms of tech,
Yes.
what would you say two things that we can borrow from them, that would help us, in Nigeria and in Africa at
Sure.
large? Oh,
Okay. The thing, what I always say, our problem in this part of the world is electricity, right? So we can borrow electricity from there.
dude, I love
Serious.
that answer. So
Seriously, as a tech person, Titi, as a tech person, you can't run a platform without power.
yeah.
It's almost like you are trying to do a miracle, right? So there are a lot of things that will actually fall in place. I always say that once our power supply is at least sustainable and constant, there are things there are businesses that will come up that you don't even expect. For example, you look at even people in the movie industries. Why do you think the animation industry is not yet booming in Nigeria? Simply because animation takes time to render and convert, and it takes power. So imagine running your generator, because I've heard stories of such movie production on animation run on 3 days of electricity non-stop, just trying to compile their videos together. So imagine running a generator for 3 days. You can that kind of fuel will actually would have been meant for something else. So maybe the thing I see there is we might have the option, the not option anyway, we might have the flexibility of UPS or inverters and generator running concurrently, but in large scale it might not be helpful, but in small medium scale that might suffice, right? Inverters and generator alternating. So where the generator, where your fuel stop, your inverter continues, and maybe before they bring the NEPA comes to the rescue at the end. But power is very important. Then the second thing is we need uh we need a lot of knowledge based products in terms of how it's marketable products, knowledge-based marketable product, because sometimes people learn things that are not marketable, right? Or learn things that they can't even make it a solution in their local environment. That is important. How do we tweak our knowledge-based product to solve local problems or local solutions, or find local solutions to our problem? Take for example our Steam, our STEM, and all that product. Like I always say, it should be solving local problems, right? Not looking at international markets. It should actually start by solving local problems. How does our STEAM and STEM project with students, how does this solve electricity problem? How does it solve uh, debt problem in terms of making the environment clean and all that? So we might not be looking too much into robotics if we are not yet solving our local problems.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think that's all for our beginning chat. We are just excited. We need to go into the topic of today.
Okay.
The topic of today, honestly, even we had already started the debate yesterday. We were excited about the topic for today. And I'm happy to say that Rotimi, are you live and direct now? Oh my. Rotimi's internet is still it's not top notch because his face looks like that. But at least we can see something. uh, Rotimi, welcome. Rotimi was stuck in traffic and the internet was a bit bad, but he's back here. And we want to just
That-
delve, immediately, without hesitation, into our topic for today.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Now, I like what Fifolu is saying. She says that the internet just has to cooperate. Not this morning when there's a hot, you know that the internet just wants to get the job don't mind the internet. Jude, please help us beg. Help us beg.
Hello, internet. Hello, internet. Give us a break.
Okay.
Oh,
So our topic today is, do teachers fall in love?
Okay. Mm.
Do teachers fall in love? We were debating at the different angles in which we should come at this topic. So, do teachers fall in love? Rotimi, are you with us now? Rotimi?
Oh, he's out again.
Okay, so do teachers fall in? I don't know whether I should say that. When we're talking about it, we're talking about it from three angles.
Okay.
We're talking about it from three angles where, do teachers fall in love with students? Do teachers fall in love with parents? And do
Okay.
teachers fall in love with themselves? And
Okay.
this topic is, looking at it not just in the primary and secondary school um, section, but all the way to even university. I've known lecturers that have married their students in university, but my question, Jude, and as we start the conversation, is, when is it okay? When is it acceptable? When should civil things happen? What are
Okay.
the guidelines that schools
Guidelines.
honestly, and when is it acceptable? Looking across the three areas. So when we're
Yes,
looking
yes,
across, we're saying teachers with their students, teachers with parents, because parents can be divorced, they can be single. In short,
yes,
even the married itself, and
yes.
also, and also just looking at it, with themselves. So what are your thoughts?
Hmm. I think okay, there's a standard rule and there's still the specific rule for each institution, right? Okay. Let's take for primary school example. Teachers are not expected to fall in love with students, right? First and foremost. So I think every level is having their own different rules and regulations. So for primary, teachers are not expected to fall in love with students, but they can fall in love with other teachers, and they might also, parents is still dicey. Even for single parents, it's still very dicey because somehow there's this emotional uh, aspect of it, which if it goes out of hand, it becomes an indictment on that teacher. You have heard of, even for single parents, you've heard of teachers maybe doing home lessons, and somehow it turns out to a love fling at home, and if he gets back to school, that teacher is going to be burnt for that act. So that same also applies to secondary school, but in university, we're looking at almost everybody in adulthood, right? So the lecturer could fall in love with students if it's not a side chick thing or that kind of thing. But okay, it's possible. It's possible in lecturing. It's possible. They could also fall in love with themselves. But you always see the student lecturer relationship as very dicey, not too sincere in terms of there's always something at stake. There's always something at stake, and sometimes it doesn't all go well. Okay, look at our French president. He married his teacher, right? Isn't it? And she was like maybe her first son is like the age of the husband. Imagine. so and that is like I think that should be a primary school teacher, so that would be a primary school so you can imagine what can happen. It might not happen within, but I've also seen a case where a primary school teacher maybe after some years married their students, maybe after, you understand, maybe she became mature and all that, and somehow they met, and though the age gap is there, but it happens. But most of the time within that environment there's always this uh tough rules and regulation to carry on, to actually even make it almost impossible, but somehow it always find its way out.
Yeah. Okay, Rotimi, are you back? Are you with us? Loud and clear.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Rotimi, because I'm the
Fantastic.
coordinator.
Okay. Good morning.
Yeah. I think you must answer this question.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, Titi, you are not the moderator of the session, so you cannot put me on the spot. Else you get what is coming to you. So,
Okay, Rotimi,
Jude, the last time I counted is two versus one, isn't it?
Yes. We'll lead it. We'll lead it. So
Titi, don't start what you can't finish.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Good Morning Education Show. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to the entire world. And we're speaking about something fantastic. You've heard my colleagues and analysts say, do teachers fall in love? Are teachers human beings? Yes. Do they fall in love? Let's find the answer from our guests and analysts. And what type of love do people really fall in love or fall into?
What kind of love? What type of love?
Because I think that teachers have been too covertly, how do I put it now, expressive in the area of love. I hardly sometimes get to see you. Is either you only see a teacher that is married and is married with kids, or you see a teacher that is, you can't determine what's up with the teacher. And thinking about the demands of the classroom and the school. So sometimes it gives a concern. Look at it that, are these guys all right? Is everything all right with them? Are they fine? So, I think it's time for us to zone in on the relational dimension of professional educators, education professionals. Do they have a piece of the pie? What are your takes? I wanted to call you Ben. I said, Jude, and Titi, what are your takes on that?
You know what I would say?
Okay, I've actually started it. Let Titi continue with that.
You know what I would say is that when there's a hero relationship, there's a high tendency for the other person to have feelings for more the hero. So what that means is that when a child is young, especially in primary and secondary school, they're more likely to have crushes on their teachers. And depending.
Well, crush is not love, right? Crush is not
I
love.
start with that. You see,
Okay.
the reason I want to start with that is that in their own little eye, or they feel that they're in love. It's only now when we talk. When you're adults, you talk about a crush. When you're a child, you feel when. So, but what the role of the teacher is that this child is not an adult.
Yes.
Relationship, in my opinion, should be between two consenting adults. So what that means is, as long as there's primary school and there's secondary school, those people are not yet adults. So there should be no form of relationship with those people. There will be the tendency it could even be the person, there's this popular and this student following up on that. We had it. In when I was in secondary school, when we had male teachers, especially the ones that were doing NYC, that were funkier than our normal teachers, we had girls that were all flocking around them, talking about them, things like that. But the acceptable thing is that it has to be between two consenting adults. And so that means that primary, secondary school is a no-no. The teacher should have nothing to do with that. But when you now talk about the parents, yes, it is two consenting adults, but then again, it now brings, complexities, as Jude said, when
the business part of it.
Yes, it now brings this. It can bring a question to the whole school when this thing doesn't work out. And that's just what it is. So it's when the relationship goes sour, and then might bring the school in bad repute. So there should be some, there should be some defining principles where teachers should not have relationship with the parents of the school.
Yeah.
Because if it's fine, yeah, it's all successful, it's fine. But if it goes sour, then it could then become, very funny. The teacher might want to victimize the student. This parent might want to use the child as a pawn. Then the child becomes a pawn in child relationship. So I feel that for that reason, I would say no to teachers and parents having relationship as long as the child is that underage child. When I mean underage child is that the child is less than an adult. But if they are now, we're not talking about the child involved, the third party is an adult. In universities, though I would prefer that it's a relationship that is not a direct student relationship. So let's say you're in the faculty of science and you're having a relationship with someone in the faculty of engineering. It seems still okay, because when it's someone that you have supervisory oversight, then it calls into question, which is why in the same thing in the corporate world they will say that as long as the person doesn't have supervisory oversight, maybe, and the person is in another location, then maybe, because it starts calling into question your ability for transparency and objectivity and what other third party perceive. Because if you're successful, we'll all feel it because your husband or your whatever is the lecturer or this.
Yes.
People always feel that way. So I think for as much as possible, those are some of the things that I would say. Even teachers fall in love with teachers. If one of the person has supervisory oversight, it's also a something for concern. What I mean is that the principal fall in love with the math teacher because the principal has oversight on that math teacher.
Yeah.
So it also just adds more complexity because there are more third parties at stake. And everybody, especially in a position of leadership, you need to be shown to be ethical. You need to be shown, even if and there's something we say in audit. It's in appearance and in deed, which means that there needs to be the appearance of it. Which is why we don't advocate for you are the president and the people you put in authority are your family members, because in appearance it doesn't seem objective. Indeed is actually that. So there's a thing of appearance and indeed. So I really like to pause and let Rotimi meet and we have an interesting Okay, Rotimi, back to you. That's my opening contribution.
Yeah, so Fee has asked us the question: does the topic include the angle of teachers falling in love with the same sex, and whether or not it affects their duties?
Yuck.
Hello?
Yuck.
Jude, what do you have to say to that?
Man, that's not even in our culture, right? Same sex is not even in our culture. So trying to I've kind of interacted with some teachers overseas, right? I say and they are like heteros, they are straights, they are not homo. So how do you cope with your students that are gay and all that? He said we treat them like students, like they don't bring that into question. But somehow we can't actually rule out totally the morality or the religious part of it in terms of how you want to see them, how you want to relate with them. You get it? It's always going to come into play. For me, it's always going to come into play. I can't really dissect it out of my head and say I'm seeing this person like this and seeing him, seeing the same person in two different angles, right? So when it comes to our own climate, our African climate, or Nigeria, or even schools in Lagos, I don't think that will even be tolerable for same sex love relationship or romance. It's not going to be tolerable. Because somehow, no matter how we want to,
but these things do occur.
It happens, but it's always going to be under the carpet. And we need to address the question. It's always going to be under the carpet. You can't bring it.
How do you know it's under the carpet? Because the preference of nowadays, the society has gone bonkers. So there's a lot of relativity in society that you can't even tell. In fact, before now you say, oh, girls are hanging out, girls are having birthday anniversaries. So you naturally not feel there's anything wrong. Guys are hanging out. You think that's even a normal thing. It's only when you see guys and girls that you not start suspecting. But you'll be shocked. More often than not nowadays, the girls hang out, the guys hang out. They are colored tones of some realities that you are not aware of. You understand?
My stake on this is that two consenting adults. I don't support it, but for me, it's two consenting adults. So if two consenting adults, decide to do this, then really, it's really their business. So it's two consenting adults.
Okay.
Yeah. So once it's two consenting adults, and the person, like I mentioned earlier, the person doesn't have an oversight. The person is not a parent, so that there's no third party of the child being involved. Then it's two consenting. What you guys do.
Okay.
I don't support, but it's two consenting adults.
Titi, you're putting us in a crossfire. You cannot say two consenting adults and then you now add clauses and phrases to it. Two consenting adults, parent and teacher, teacher and parent, teacher and teacher, principal.
I've said that parent and teacher is a no-no. And I've said why.
Yes.
Why?
Because there's a third party involved, and that's the child. So that if things go sour, the child becomes a possible pawn amongst the two. If you are going out with a parent, and I'll be honest, if you are going out with a parent, I'm a teacher, I'm going out with a parent, he jilts me, he treats me badly, and then go and start toasting another teacher. in that sense, and I see the child. It's going to be hard.
Titi will create worksheet for that father. She'll create application, revenge app or Play Store.
Let's assume that teacher is that child's favorite. So I was an ex-girlfriend, and that teacher is that child's favorite. Even before we start going. Let's remember that we are talking about humans. It's not rational behavior. There's a high possibility that if I'm teaching that child suffers. That child's mistakes, I amplify it. And for that reason alone, I'm like, no. It's the same thing when two parents get divorced. There's a high possibility that child is the one that suffers. That child is used as a pawn, as the two parents are trying to war off. So for that reason, I can't prevent the other one of two parents divorcing and all that. But the ones that I can control, which are within your school, which parent and teacher, I can prevent. But when the child is a former student, then it's fine. When the child is a former student, as long as the child is a third party, in that relationship, then I'm like, no. So for that reason, I would say parent-teacher relationship is a no-no as a policy for me. When it becomes a former teacher, it becomes a former student. Fine.
So Titi and Jude, now look at this scenario. Titi and Jude, look at this scenario. You have a situation where we talk about emotional intelligence, right? And we talk about people don't bring when you come to the office, leave your baggage at the gate.
Yes.
We're talking about, even people have their personal issues. They say, no, your personal issues should not affect work issues. We're talking about professionalism. Some of them have gone for trainings and certification, right? Being able to do classroom management as a pro, dealing with your personal mastery thing. Some of them might even have life coaches. Some of them have done NLP, how to master neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming. So they know how to manage their mental state. Business, keep non-business. So here is Titi telling us that there's a third party. How much of a third party effect is it? And minus that, can we really equate falling in love and dating Is falling in love the same thing with dating?
I think dating is a process of falling in love, right?
Dating is the
It's the road
software.
map. It's the road map of
Falling
falling
in
in love.
love, falling in love is the application.
But okay, let me even address TT's talk on consenting adults for same sex. You know, that is a I don't know if it's right to project that kind of scenario even for students to be seeing that there are same-sex teachers falling in love or trying to get into a romance. Are you getting it? That the children will now accept it as a good behavior, that they it's almost like you are telling the child it can also be you. You can also two students, male can be in love, two female can be in love, and all that. So it might not be a good scenario in terms of what the teachers are projecting to the students when it comes to same sex, because if you have that kind of what they call it, uh school, and your child is there and you find that you have same-sex marriages happening there, will you take your child to that kind of school, as in objectively, and maybe you say, okay, it doesn't matter, it doesn't they are just they are adults, they are consenting adults. There's always going to be this bias that my child cannot go to that kind of school, that kind of I can't expose my child to that kind of thinking at this stage or that early age. So they might I still doubt that it's applicable to this our climb, or that's why I said it's always going to be swept under the carpet.
Yeah, so to answer your question, you know, each education is not outside of the community. So
Yeah.
my when I mentioned that is general, right? Is my
Yes.
general take. In
Okay.
the end, each each school unit is about academics and the values that they promote.
Yes. Yes.
So when people promote, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, when people promote that we do British curriculum and we do American curriculum, go and look at what the curriculum entails. Do you understand? Look at what they do under religious study. The
Study.
religious studies that they do under the British curriculum, because my children when they school that they do British curriculum under religious studies, what are they teaching them? They're not teaching them Christianity. They're teaching them all religions. So me, that for the first time I knew about Sikh, I knew about Buddha, you know, in detail, because from reading and helping my son revise. So when you
Okay.
say that, I'm just saying that you say that because you feel that there are not a lot of other things in the education that are not in line with what our community currently accepts. So I would say that, you know, that's why we feel that way. But go and look at what they promote under the British curriculum, the American curriculum, when it comes to other things, when it comes to other society values. They promote that, you know, not discriminating is one word, accepting that. So the children are already learning that. So they're already learning that, whether, you know, so you as a school need to decide your values. So if your value system is about that, but my general comment is as two consenting adults. But if school is a community that's propagating a particular value system, they need to decide that. And you as a parent, every time you go to a school, beyond academics, you have to say, what's the value system of that school? So if the school already has that value system where they have a religious bias, when they have a religious bias, you know, it's fine. But mine is that I'm a strong Christian, but I would try to preach to you my God and not my morality. I'm hoping that when you encounter my God, then he does the remaining work. I don't support these things, but till I can allow you get to that point where you see, mine will be, to be praying for you. So I don't want us to move on a different tangent, because that's another topic for a while. But we are just talking generally in terms of general discussions about teacher-student relationship, parent-teacher relationship when it comes to matters of the heart. I'm happy that my sister has come to balance this against the men factor. Rhoda in the house. Thank you for coming to say.
But you know, Rhoda is an inclusion advocate.
Yes,
Rhoda has badge
she's
and
neutral.
award
She's
and
neutral
accolade and profile of inclusion and inclusive practice.
Yes.
So Rhoda, being an inclusive and inclusion advocate, should be able to postulate and gesticulate in a nice way and articulative fashion that will help us create a magnanimous effect on this subject matter of today. Rhoda, over to you.
I don't understand all the English you have spoken. I don't understand.
You must understand, though.
That discussion can take us for hours. Let's focus on general, which is teachers falling in love with their students, with parents, and themselves. That other one is an angle that to ourselves. So, Roger, darling, please give us your.
See, when I looked at the topic and I said to myself, for God's sake, teachers are human beings. But I remembered and I recalled that it wasn't just it wasn't just from a singular angle. Like the perspective wasn't falling in love, wasn't just like between two consenting adults. It was also, some of the things that happen between teachers and students. Call it a lecturer-student relationship, teacher secondary. I mean, we know that many secondary school teachers have these issues with boys in their classrooms. We know that is also there. There's a lot of young boys, senior secondary school boys, that often harass, their teachers. And sometimes some teachers fall into that space. And I know that it's all about value system. And there should, when it's two consenting adults, who are colleagues in the office, personally, it's all about the company policy or the school policy. Usually, I think what happens everywhere else is one person has to leave the job because it has become two people with beyond normal ideas and beyond normal, what would I call it? I don't know, call it milestone, call it whatever it is. It may just not all go well for the administration, but for anything else within the school system, no. And it's a no. Whether it's from a teacher to a parent, and even if that parent is a single parent, because there's a child in between, it needs to leave the school. It needs to just leave the school. It's very uncomfortable and can lead to many things that we don't really have time to discuss.
Rhoda, but we are in a world where a lot of people have been trained. We've taught them emotional intelligence. They have certificates in it. Some of them have done life coaching.
Yes.
Are you saying they can't manage their affairs without? There's a lot of social awareness and social consciousness. You understand? There's mind mastery. They have done a lot of mind mastery stuff. They've done goal setting, goal mapping, life setting.
How and where? Where is that data coming from? When did they do it? How? When? How? Who are they? Are they psychologists? What are they?
They have certificates. They have certification.
No, honestly.
They have mentors to make sure that professional dimension is on point, their career dimension is on point, and they have relational coaches, relationship coaches.
You can call it whatever it is, whatever you choose to call it, as long as there's a child in between that conversation. And as long as there's a school policy in between that conversation, it's a simple no. You will not fall in love with a single parent, and if you do, then you have to take them whatever the policy says around it. But you can't do that. That's just it. It becomes something that is, can be it leaves it open for a lot of things, for a lot of interpretations, and then it leaves it open for other vices to happen within the school system. So you just don't want that kind of thing around your school. It's too dramatic. No one needs to let that happen. It's just too dramatic.
You already have enough of drama happen. They want to open it up to more drama.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't happen, we know, but to minimize its occurrence. That's what there's already a lot of drama, teacher relations, teacher tension. You didn't want to add one that has to do with heart, that is not rational. Hey, please.
I mean, we know about the lecturer to students, like in the university. These are adults, right? And usually, if the lecturer is single, the student is single. I wouldn't do too much. I won't talk too much about that. As long as it's something that does, yes, consenting, then it becomes normal. Like that's a normal thing. It's not too abnormal. But again, if you look at it critically, the lecturer is that student's lecturer. There's a fight there, because how is he going to grade the student? How is it? What sort of advantage is it going to? Is that whoever it is going to have against the others? It's just no. It's a no, really. We don't want that.
Anyway, from Rotimi points of view in the training and all that, maybe those trainings were not specific to address teacher parents kind of relationship and all that. It was addressing other kind of relationship aside teacher parents relationship or romance. You get it? So that's where I might say, okay, Mr. Rotimi is right in saying that there are a lot of trainings, but maybe those trainings were not tailored to address a subject of teacher falling in love with parents and all that. They had other.
They are life skill trainings applicable to real life scenarios, real life issues.
It's generic sometimes, right?
But Rotimi, you know that we don't have. Where's that? Which teacher training college teaches you that? It is not part of the course outline.
No,
it is not part of the course outlook. It's not part of the course outline outlook, because it's beyond policy, it's beyond practice.
You started by saying that teachers are human beings, isn't it? And their teaching profession is just one dimension out of the several dimensions of their lives.
Totally agree with you.
So the relational dimension makes them human. And then, for example, a teacher we told teachers you have to have a balanced life, work-life balance. A teacher goes maybe to a lounge or a restaurant just to have maybe club sandwich or a double-deck burger or ribs and steaks and stuff like that. And then the teacher now meets a very tall, handsome-looking guy, and just is kind of buy you a drink. Of course, networking is part of what we teach teachers. Most of us don't just stay curricular. There's co-curricular, there's extracurricular, and there's co-curricular. So, and then the teacher follows our instruction, and the teacher gets to say, okay, no problem, buy me a drink. And from a drink, they start throwing banters. From banters,
let's talk about amala and amala, eating amala as well. So I hear you.
Get to assembly ground, and you're just whispering to your colleagues that, man, I had a great weekend.
Rotimi, we agree with you in theory. In practice and policy, it doesn't always play out that way. If it is two consenting adults, as we said, they're both single. Nobody has any other attachments, and these things are so difficult to know the borderline. It's very, very difficult, because yes, two consenting adults can be two people who are already in relationships, and that could cause another problem in itself. So that's why the policies that schools have around this is, I hope they do have clear policies around this, but they do that one person has to exit. It can't be two of you anymore. You have to decide between two of yourselves to leave. And then if it's a student, completely tutor students within the primary basic education space, no way, it's not going to work. That's already wrong, because every child within that space is underage. And so this is a complete no, because there's no more consenting. And if it's a tertiary education, it becomes a whole new conversation. Who is hitched? Who is married? Who is not married? Are you my student? Are you not my student? Because if you are my student, then it can't be. If you're not my student, then that's fine. But then there must be things that characterize both of you, which is that I don't teach you, you're not my teacher. And then you cannot influence my grades, and I cannot influence your grades. Those things happen.
Okay, so it means that okay, grade 5 teacher can date a parent of a child in grade 4.
Educators to have this conversation. Maybe what you're proposing, what you are saying, we should propose. Parents and teachers, it's same thing. Yeah. So maybe what Rotimi is proposing is that we include it in our course outlines. and then we'll talk about these kinds of, I don't know what we'll theme them to be.
Rhoda, I was just playing devil's advocate now. Why are you telling me?
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
Hey, Jude, these ladies have a way of coming back at us.
What we are saying is that what is primary and secondary school?
Titi, your volume is kind of low.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
What is primary and secondary school? Because there's a third party called an underage child. Relationship between teacher, children, no. Teacher, parent, single or married or divorced or whatever, no. That's the first thing they are saying. When is in university where they are consenting adults, we feel that consenting adults can, but not when the lecturer or teacher or educator has an oversight on that student. So what that means is that if I'm a law student, I should not date my law lecturer because he has an oversight on me, which would not be objective and transparent.
At least the ladies have agreed
wholeheartedly
that love is not blind. I can love is not blind.
Jude, look, listen, see, Jude. I think this comment from Fee Folu is very critical. I think we should look at it. She says it's looking like school policy maybe against the love life of teachers. If the teacher, male or female, have to leave in case they fall in love with the parents, I don't think it's a case of being against the school policy being against. It's the school policy being protective of the school and the school system. It's not being against, because if there are many ways it can go wrong, and their business, exactly. There are many ways it can go wrong when a teacher falls in love with the parent. By the way, that parent has to be single in any case. It has to be a single parent. And so in this case, I think the only clause that's applicable is that parent is a single parent. And then in that case, then because there's a child involved in the school has to decide where it comes in. And if a lot of investigation has to be done, and once that investigation is clear and the school is clear about it, then I don't think that we create policies for man, right? Abby? Yes. That's it. It's not the other way around. So a man can always doctor it, and change it to tweak it to what's supposed to be.
Hashtag man.
The ocean is very wide. Teachers, go and try and find love outside of the one that
love is not blind.
She says that. So what if the child is okay with the relationship? What does the child know? What does the child know?
No, the child cannot.
What does the child really know?
The child cannot decide that.
But children are more aware nowadays,
I agree. I understand what Fee is saying. I understand what Fee is saying in the sense of what if the child is okay with relationship. The child likes the teacher, the parent, maybe the parent knows, oh, my dad or my mom likes this person, and it's okay, right? And that child feels comfortable with this person. But that's a child can never be in the law court, in the court of law, can never be addressed, as somebody to deal with the situation or give an evidence for an evidence-based, decision of evidence in any case for these things.
That children are pushing their parents or to get into a relationship with somebody. So it's like the movie thing is playing out in reality, sort of.
Yeah, we see it a lot in the movies.
And it's becoming as acceptable as possible.
I think this is a place. This is a place why schools. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think as we bring this to a fulcrum, right, what we need to begin to address is how can teachers improve on their relational dimension? What are those things they can do not to ostracize themselves from also being part of that love experience? So what are your takes, guys? How do we begin to promote and foster that dynamics? Because a lot of people are so scared and so fearful. They are not even taking the move. They are not making a move. They are just wallowing in curriculum pity.
Okay. At this point, it depends. Not normally. Well, most adults know what to do. It's just they are not taking the necessary action to do it, or they have their own expectations in life. I've seen teachers, young teachers, who are eligible for marriage, but they say they want to chase career. They're not ready for marriage. But that is always there's always going to be a clause there that maybe you are not my person, type of person. If somebody meets my expectation, I will change my mind. But they know how to play those kind of mind games. So at this point, we believe that people know what to do. Just maybe the way to and where without to do it is just their problem.
Okay. Titi, comments?
I think we've talked enough. What I would just say is that, as we say these things, they are like, general guidance and rules because we want to protect the child. There are scenarios that can happen whereby, you don't know, you've already gone far before you realize. We don't know the parents in the school before you realize. I know it's tough, but honestly, at that point in time, once you realize it, I think you should call it off. It's not maybe you found the perfect man for you. Unfortunately, is that. So it's one or two things.
The perfect one.
Either you leave the school because what we're trying to protect is the weaker party, and which is the child. So we understand all the and all that. So it's really for you to take that decision. If you really want this relationship, then look for another school. That's what we are saying. Look for another school. But protect the child. The bottom line for me is protect the child. I mean, we already know children that are their parents, they're in a very toxic family environment. Can we do anything about that? Not really. But the one that we can prevent, that's really where we are coming from. The one that we can prevent proactively. It's like a woman going out to the man that is abusive, physically abusive. Before they marry and have children, if we can prevent that, that's our role. So that's why you have all this advocacy against domestic violence. Let's prevent it. Let's allow people recognize it. When they're already in it, it's tougher. But even when so that's really where we are coming from when we say all these things. It's a general guide to protect the weaker person, which is the child. Because things can go relationship, even two people that are fantastic, that fall in love, when they marry, there's no guarantee that the relationship will be the best of it all. But we're saying that if we can prevent it with our eyes open, let's protect that child. Let's protect that child. Let's safeguard them as much as we can. Let the two consenting adults do what they want to. But we are the school, that we're in the position where we can protect the child. Let's protect the child. And that's really my take on this.
Thank you so much. And Rhoda?
The key word here is fall in love. And if it is love, then you will do the right, because I don't want to say if it is true love. Love is always true. Again,
it's never guaranteed.
Truly is going to make the right decisions. Yeah, love is always true. Love is always true. If it is love, then you do the right things. You do the right things. And what I want to say is this, right? There are certain areas that it is a no. And I think we should not even go back on those. If I am your teacher, it's a no. If it's not two consenting adults, it's a no. If I am going to benefit from your grades or from the experience of love, it is a no. That is inadvertently, it's a no. But where everything is normal, these situations like single parent versus teacher, two single teachers, and other scenarios like that, then if it's love, then you definitely know what the right thing to do, which is that you need to protect everybody and do the right thing by the policy, by the school that you're working for, and by yourself, knowing that two of you need to know that you are in this together. And if you're in this together, you need to also protect, you have to be selfish to protect yourself, because scandals don't do you any good anyway. And so you want to make sure that you do right by the child, by the institution, and by yourself, if it is
Fantastic. Fantastic. There you have it. Awesome conversation, wonderful views, objective views, by the way. And if I'm going to go away from this show, three things come to my mind. Like Rhoda has said, Titi has rightfully said, and of course, Jude actually has also said it. We need to master the place of communication, both in behavior and what is written as policy based on protecting the child or safeguarding the child. Then, of course, the context matters a lot. So when you fall in love, if you do fall in love, understand the context. Are you a parent? Are you a teacher? Are you a teacher to a teacher? Whatever the context is, please ensure that you take adequate steps to ensure that the love doesn't become a crime to you. Neither does it become a crime to the other party. And then the final word is caution. Your relational dimension is just a dimension of your life. It's quite important, but you must take caution. So they normally say, shine your eyes in our own local. So there's a reason behind that. There's a reason behind that. So please, whatever the scenario is, whatever the situation is, whoever you are in the party involved, ensure that you shine your eye. And this is our last show for the month of January. And we're coming back. We're coming back to the month of February. And trust me, it's getting better. It's getting better.
The month
Ladies
of
and
love.
gentlemen, this is Wheel of Destiny. As we end the last Friday with the last show in January, talking about teachers falling in love. Go out there, look for love, fall in love, break some love, eat some love, look some love, grow some love.
Go into the month of love.
Of love, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ending the show right now. And we don't like to end the show without telling you what we love to tell you most. And that statement is something that has grown on us. And Titi is always eager to end the show by saying that word. So Rhoda and Titi, give us the privilege to hear from you as we end the show today.
It is always a good morning on the Good Show.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.